citizens. The Alzheimer's Association has been behind every major advancement and continues to lead the fight against Alzheimer's. We won't rest until we have a cure. Join us. Go to alz.org.
Live from Charlottesville's Real Center for Politics, Joe Thomas in the morning. Seville 107.5 and 1260 WCHV. News, talk, sports.
You got the best radio station going.
Thank you for joining us on the Newsplex Now channel as well. All local, all the time. Channel 19.2 over the air and cable channel 209 as well out of the Newsplex family of stations. Joining us on the Newsmakers line, founder of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, author of The Battle for the Soul of Islam. He is Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. Dr. Jasser, it's an honor to have you back on the program. How are you doing this morning, sir?
Doing well. Thanks, Joe, and thanks for having me back. It's always great to be with you.
Unfortunately, it always seems to be at a moment where there's this flashpoint kind of thing going on. Here in Virginia, very controversial, as many states, almost as half of the states now, telling the State Department they don't want the Syrian refugees. Virginia saying they're okay with it. Controversy over that. Controversy over what should be done as folks are fleeing. As I pointed out, it's sort of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Bashar Assad on one side, ISIS on the other. I feel like we should be trying to develop a third alternative to that. But I don't know if I'm comfortable saying to 400 people who are fleeing, the horrors of what's going on there, no, just because of one or two that may be dangerous. What is your view from where you sit regarding the Syrian flood that's coming out in the wake of the civil war?
Well, there's no doubt I have my own biases. I have family there that have been suffering under the bombs, and there's a genocidal sandwich that's happening in Syria. Assad started it by targeting the Sunnis. The flow out of Syria in the last 3-4 months has been because the Assad regime wants to depopulate Syria of Sunnis. So they handed out 3-4 million passports and said, you guys get out here or we're going to continue bombing your homes. Mm-hmm. And that's the story that really people don't understand why this changed in the last 6 months. The Shia Alawites that control the military are 20-30% of the population at most. So they're trying to change and doing an ethnic cleansing. So having said that, my heart is, America is the Statue of Liberty. It's about giving us your tired, your poor, but, as Krauthammer said, it's not about giving us your terrorists. So we have to have a way of vetting. And with this president, he's not vetting for the Islamist party movement, the Islamist ideology, the Islamic State movement. And also we should be vetting, that's all we're talking about right now is ISIS, but if anyone thinks that Assad regime loyalists are going to be pro-American and not be threats, I'd ask them to look into the Syrian Electronic Army that infiltrated the Washington Post, the Times. They shut down many of our media. They're working with the Russians, with Snowden and others. So the bottom line is that both of those are enemies. And this country has fought a number of wars in which we had agents inside our bureau, inside our CIA during the Cold War, and yet we still allowed those refugees to come in. We still allowed Vietnamese refugees. We still allowed in World War II refugees from Italy and from Germany and elsewhere. So, the bottom line is that we need to, I understand the pause button many of the governors want to do right now, but I hope it's just a pause button because the narrative that the Islamists want, they don't want these Muslims going into Europe. They want them to stay to build the caliphate. So we have to make sure that we don't feed into the narrative because as much as And it was a little saddening to me to see the partisan nature, and I'm saying this as a conservative, the partisan nature of the concern about the refugees. This is a nonpartisan issue, and I'm sure there's Democrats out there that are also not wanting to bring them in. And one last point, Joe, is that look at all the terror attacks, even this Belgian attack. This was the guy, the mastermind was a homegrown radical out of Belgium. He went to Syria. And yet they let him back. There have been 190 of the 500 Belgians that went to Syria and came back that the Belgians just let come and go. That's the problem, not the refugees. If you look at all the threats in the U.S., almost every one of them, Chattanooga, Boston bombing, have been homegrown radicals. And, to say that refugees are a threat, yeah, there might have been one passport found on one of these guys, but you really don't see refugees committing acts of terror. Yes, in a significant number. The bigger threat is the separatist ideology that happens when they live in ghettoized regions for quite some time.
Well, how do we on this side, and unfortunately, you start to hear the same rhetoric that has come up every time something like this happens, where the American Muslim community is eyeballed, and people are starting to say, we're taking a dangerous step, and to help, because I feel like there's a way the American government, not leading from behind but leading from the front, could help the Syrians become freedom fighters for their country the way we did with the French when the Nazis occupied them in World War II, and help them win a free country as opposed to just having choices of bad and worse there, as well as here in this country, understanding that there's a huge community that still believes in the individual rights as founded here in Charlottesville by Jefferson and Madison.
Amen. I can't tell you how many Syrian Americans are having this conversation at their dinner tables, in that the American Revolution was fought against theocracy, and yet somehow Americans are getting their eyes glazed over trying to figure out what's happening in Syria. It's not that complicated, but there's two enemies, the Assad fascists, but by the way, he might claim to be secular and protecting minorities, but he's working with Iran, which is the Shia theocrats, and in bed completely with Hezbollah and other global terrorist agents. The bottom line is that it's interesting. This cell started and was planned in Syria. And don't forget that the Assad regime allowed al-Qaeda to go into Iraq. It let them out of their prisons. So there is a deep relationship between the Assad regime and radical Islam. And that's not going to go away. If Americans want to be free, ultimately, and of threats of terrorism, we have to look at the solution, the long-term solution in the Middle East, as being both the end of ISIS, short-term, and the end of the Assad regime. And we lost the opportunity in the Arab awakening, but I don't think it's completely gone. But the Arab awakening was an opportunity to change that cauldron that's been brewing these radicals. I'm hearing people say, well, let's get our allies, the Jordanians, the Saudis, the Qataris, to bomb ISIS. Well, short-term, you're exactly right. Long-term, these guys are brewing these radical ideas, so the free thinkers, like myself, are in prisons being flogged by the Saudis, by the Qataris, and others.
Right.
So if we want a long-term solution, we have to work with our allies on the ground, the grassroots who believe in freedom, and they're there. They exist. They ousted the Brotherhood last year in droves.
Well, and that's what I'd like to see us doing is taking these Syrians and saying, listen, let's win your country back. Introduce them to a whole room full of Marines and SEALs and Army Rangers and say, listen, we've got your back. And I think that's what this country has not done very well, is to say to those who believe in individual rights and the religious freedom of this country is, we've got your back.
Exactly, and yet the president insulted the Syrians from the White House 2 years into the revolution, before ISIS even existed. He insulted them and said, really, there's nobody to support. They're all pharmacists and engineers and construction workers. They're not a militia. They're not warriors. Are you kidding me? This country was fought the same way. Our revolution was not fought by a militia. That's why we have a Second Amendment. So at the end of the day, if America's not going to help those who need training, et cetera, and all we could train with $500 million was 50, who, by the way, the Russians then destroyed a few weeks into what they said was an anti-ISIS operation, but truly was an anti-Free Syria Army operation in order to bolster Assad, while now, even when their airliner was down out of Egypt, they said they were going to go in and decimate them. It was their worst decision ever for ISIS to attack Russia. France has already done in 2 days more than Russia did after their airliner was downed against ISIS.
Yes, Hollande actually said he'll go himself and start trying to find these people. So, they may have woken a sleeping ally, but unfortunately we are not doing it. What do you need to hear maybe from the candidates? I still hear them kind of wringing all their hands, all the folks who want to be the leader of the free world, if that title still exists, Dr. Jasser, before I have to let you go. Are you hearing anyone who's not wringing their hands over this and parsing words?
Well, there are a few candidates, and I'll let people determine who I'm talking about on their own. But the candidates who feel that America has a role to play in advancing freedom, the candidates who feel that a world without American influence is an evil place, that Russia and Iran and others will fill that vacuum, candidates who are willing to identify Islamism as the problem and free-thinking Muslims as leading the solution, that they're willing to not be afraid to identify the ideology that threatens us, but also say that the solutions from within. I had my differences when Carson made his comment that a Muslim couldn't become president, and then he backtracked and basically said it had to do with the Constitution. And, he was right about the constitutional issues, but, we need to have leadership then, especially now. I think we may be headed towards a tipping point as far as the population's concerned in the West, where Americans are starting to realize the problem is Islamism, this political movement that is believing in Sharia law or Islamic statecraft, and the solution are Muslims that are French nationalists, American nationalists, that believe in statecraft that's based in liberty. And that movement is going to take some time, but we need to be all in. Media, political leaders, universities, we need to be all in the long term like we were in the Cold War.
Well, Pete Snyder and I are cooking up an idea that we may have 100 or so coming to Charlottesville. We're going to take them on a field trip to Montpelier and start teaching them about the Constitution if they come here to Charlottesville. So we're going to do our part to show them the right answers, Dr. Jasser. Thank you for your visit as well. Travel safely, and we'll unfortunately probably have to talk to you again really soon, but we'll talk to you again and travel well.
Anytime. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
News and analysis for Charlottesville and Palmyra, Central Virginia's first News Talk 107.5 FM and 1260 AM. WCHV Charlottesville.
A lot of things come standard in the next generation BMW X5. The 0.2-second faster 0 to 60 mile per hour time comes standard. The 120-pound lighter frame comes standard. And 15% more fuel efficiency, well, that comes standard too. With so many innovative features that come standard, it's no wonder the all-new BMW X5 keeps setting the standard. We only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine.
At BMW of Charlottesville and BMWCharlottesville.com. Financing leasing available by BMW Financial Services.
Our friends at Automated Office Systems want to tell you about Ring Central. It's a system that they have set up for small businesses who need a phone system and don't have the need right now for a massive, big wall-mounted system. But this is cloud-oriented. You can manage it yourself, tablets, smartphones, desktops, you name it, all integrated. Ring Central. Find out more at aoscorp.net or call them at 434-979-0790 and talk to Wendell about Ring Central.
Your CBS 19 Weather Authority forecast. Clouds on the increase today with cooler temperatures. Highs this afternoon only around 60 degrees. Cloudy skies tonight. Few showers possible with lows in the upper 40s. More clouds on Wednesday. Showers developing afternoon. Highs again around 60 degrees. Look for occasional rain through the day on Thursday with afternoon highs around 70. I'm CBS 19 Chief Meteorologist Travis Koshko for Seville 107.5 and 1260 WCHV.
Do you have cracks in your bricks or drywall? Are your doors and windows sticking or hard to open? Are your floors unlevel or bouncy when you walk on them? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you need to call JES. The cracks in your brick or drywall may be warning signs of serious foundation problems. Since 1993, the professionals at JES have inspected and repaired over 10,000 homes with foundation and structural problems just like yours. JES gives engineered solutions with guaranteed results. So, if you're noticing foundation cracks, sticking doors or windows, or uneven floors, give JES a call today at 877-508-7722 for your free inspection and estimate. Let one of the JES professional engineers or certified inspectors tell you if that crack in your wall is a simple cosmetic crack or a more serious foundation problem. Call your local foundation experts, JES, at 877-508-7722.
Known best for being better, JES.
I feel so comfortable, safe and secure. I call Robertson Electric just to be sure. Taking care of all my plumbing needs, cleaner air for my family. My home feels warm, just like I knew it would. Robertson Electric, Robertson Electric, serving you like family.
Now through December 15th, combine Robertson Electric's award-winning service and Train's renowned reliability and efficiency in Train's Fall Harvest promotion. Select from special financing options or trade-in allowances up to $1,000 on qualifying equipment. Upgrade your inefficient system. Take advantage of Train's Fall Harvest promotion. It's hard to stop a train. See Robertson Electric for complete program eligibility, dates, details, and restrictions.
Robertson Electric, Robertson Electric, serving you like family.
It's like getting tomorrow's newspaper today. Joe Thomas in the morning, Seville 107.5 and 1260 WCHV. News, talk, sports.
Oh, come on. I'm right here. I've been here 8 years. A couple of years now on the Newsplex Now channel. We really appreciate Jay and Silent Tim setting us up here. I want to thank Annie Mars and the folks at the Alzheimer's Association of Central and Western Virginia. Obviously, news stories and things like that can play havoc with a schedule, but they are going to join us tomorrow morning to catch us up on things going with the Alzheimer's Association of Central and Western Virginia. Also, if you watch us on the Newsplex Now channel, make sure you come to my podcast channel because there's a little green room stuff. We continued with Dr. Jasser for a little while during the break when you guys cut away. So there's a little bit more than you didn't hear, but you have to go to the podcast channel. But unlike many others, I don't charge you for that service. I just appreciate getting the word out here. And speaking of getting the word out from the Automated Office Systems inbox here at joe@wchv.com. You like this, by the way? Just give you a look at that. I won't tell you what that is, but you can infer what you like. This one from Rich. This comes from a clip we played earlier yesterday. Dana Bash tried to go after Ted Cruz on the subject of refugees and fleeing tyrannical dictators. You see, that's how, to a small degree, how Ted Cruz's dad came to the United States. His dad had been fundraising for Che Guevara and the Castro brothers in the United States. If I'm following the timeline, he was in the United States doing fundraising for them before the revolution, and then went to Cuba, and then came back after he realized what was happening. And unfortunately, sometimes that's what happens with these things. You don't find out what's in them until you open them, and then you see what's going on. And he changed his tune after he got a good look at the Castro brothers and Che Guevara. And Dana Bash tried to corner Ted Cruz on this as well. Well, what about your father? What if back in the 60s your father would have been kept out of the United States? Because we don't know. And I thought Ted Cruz kind of swung and missed at the answer. Because to me, and several of you have said, that communism is a theocracy just like Islamism. It's this idea of inserting state instead of church. It's flipping it. It's instead of using the church to become the state, you've made the state become the church. And I thought he could have taken and really run with some red meat on the difference between somebody seeking asylum on an individual level and thousands of people. Also pointing out the instances where perhaps taking the Cuban flotillas where Fidel Castro purged his prisons and flooded Miami with the worst criminals he had. Yes, some of them were political prisoners, but many of them were drug lords already and just picked up where they left off in the free markets of Miami. But anyway, we'll get back into that tomorrow morning. Again, thanks to Annie for letting me fill in for a little bit with her, with Zuhdi Jasser. Again, that podcast will be up at WCHV.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Till this afternoon at 5, there's a couple of more petitioners. Go online to the podcast channel as well. There's also an audition page. You can listen and vote for your favorites. Till later, so long, and thanks for all the fish.
Meet Rachel. She's making serious money on her own schedule driving with Uber.
I was looking for something that was convenient and something that would help me to reach my financial goals. A friend suggested Uber, and I liked it. I love the convenience of it. So I log on when I'm available and log off when I'm not. And it's very, very easy to do. Just get in your car and you drive. And I like driving my car.
Thanks, Rachel. To start making great money with your car, sign up to drive today at drivewithuber.com. That's drivewithuber.com.
Comfort means a state of feeling satisfied, and at thecompanystore.com, your comfort is our #1 priority. For more than 100 years, the Company Store has handcrafted in the U.S. the very best bedding basics, unique items you won't find anywhere else, like our dual warmth comforters that keep you and your partner sleeping at just the right temperature. Bring comfort home today. Thecompanystore.com, 20% off your entire order plus free shipping with code RADIO at checkout. Thecompanystore.com. We are all about comfort.
When Charlottesville needs to know, they tune in to News Talk 107.5 FM and 1260 AM WCHV, Charlottesville.
Good morning, I'm John Peterson, now with your WCHV local news first, being brought to you by Ruderman. Our top story, the ex-husband of the woman at the center of an animal cruelty case will not be appearing in court. Attorney Tim Heafy delivered a statement on behalf of his client, Anthony Goland, who denies any contact with Peaceable Farm since the Golands divorced over a year ago. The statement says Mr. Goland provided his ex-wife, now Ann Shoemate Williams, with money for both personal use and animal care as part of the divorce decree. Williams is due in Orange County Court November 18th on 27 counts of animal neglect after dead horses, dogs, and cats were found on her property, and authorities removed more than 80 sick or injured horses. The Education Management Corporation, also known as EDMC, will be returning nearly $100 million in student loans after being sued for massive recruiting fraud.
EDMC operates chains of schools around the country under the brand names Argosy University, the Art Institutes, Brown Mackie College, and South University.
In a news conference yesterday, Attorney General Loretta Lynch said EDMC is a for-profit company that broke recruiting rules governing federal student aid. Lynch said the company paid incentives to recruiters based on the numbers of students that they signed up for loans. Former Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell is gaining support. There were 11 amicus briefs filed in support of McDonnell yesterday as he waits to hear back from the U.S. Supreme Court on his corruption convictions appeal case. Virginia House of Delegates Minority Leader David Toscano announced last week that he would be stepping down from his position to spend more time with his family. As of Monday, Toscano has announced that he's changed his mind. Toscano said multiple delegates approached him asking to remain at his post and offering their help to ease the burden of the job. Toscano said that he would reevaluate how things feel at the end of the current session. This has been your WCHV Local News First, brought to you this morning by Ruderman. I'm John Peterson, Fox News, and your CBS 19 Weather Authority forecasts are coming up next here on Seville 107.5 and 1260 WCHV News Talk Sports.
News and sports supported by Hum by Verizon. Want a smarter, safer car? Just plug in Hum by Verizon and you instantly get vehicle diagnostics and pinpoint roadside and emergency assistance. Learn more at hum.com.
It's the annual Amazing Christmas Sweater event at Twice as Nice. Twice as Nice will roll out their large selection of those festive Christmas sweaters Saturday the 21st. For best selection, get there early because they'll go fast. The annual Amazing Christmas Sweater event at Twice as Nice. Saturday, November 21st. Doors open at 10. Twice as Nice on Preston Avenue beside Breadworks. And as always, proceeds benefit the Java's Mountainside Senior Living.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. A first for France, invoking a never-before-used clause in the European Union to demand other EU nations provide support for the fight against ISIS in Iraq and Syria. This 4 days after the terror attacks that killed 129 people.
I have no doubt that over a period of time, Daesh is going to be defeated. I have none.
Secretary of State Kerry in Paris, using another term to refer to those Islamic militants. Now in Paris, the hunt continues for a Belgian man suspected of direct involvement in Friday's attacks that killed 129 people. He managed to get away despite being stopped by French police. Salah Abdeslam. Police in Germany also saying 3 people have been arrested over their possible links to the attacks. France and the U.S. have hit ISIS with new airstrikes. So have the Russians, going after the militants' de facto capital Raqqa in Syria. This after Moscow confirmed terrorists bombed that Russian plane out of the sky over the Egyptian desert last month.
They said an improvised device, a foreign-made, homemade device brought down that plane.
And Sky News' John Sparks. Russia has put up a $50 million reward. President Putin had said,
"We will find and destroy anybody involved in the attacks."
That plane crash killed 224 people. A Texas man is jailed in the killings of 6 people at a campground in Palestine. That's about 100 miles south of Dallas. This woman is one of William Hudson's neighbors.
He is someone that we kind of stayed away from, tried to.
2 victims were in a trailer on Saturday. 4 others were found in a nearby pond. A witness to the killings escaped and called 911 and hid in the woods. There's a new report on inflation just out for the Fed to look at as it considers raising interest rates next month. Consumer prices rose just 0.2% in October, in part because gas cost more. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Do you have a retirement account? Is it likely to go up 60% or down 60%? Wake up. Low interest rates support the market, and it won't last forever. It's time to hedge with solid gold. You will regret not doing so in the next market crash. Do it right. Don't pay a setup and storage fee. Discover how. Call Goldworth. Request the IRA guide free. Call 800-257-GOLD. 800-257-GOLD. Visit goldworth.com.
If you are behind on your bills, then this message is for you. How would you like to have a large portion of your credit card debt or medical bills forgiven? National Credit Card Relief would like to give you free information on a proven debt forgiveness program. It's not bankruptcy, it's not consolidation. This special program actually wipes clean the portion of your debt that is forgiven. Call for your free forgiveness information now. 800-719-2090. That's 800-719-2090. Don't wait. Call 800-719-2090.
Your CBS 19 Weather Authority forecast: increasing clouds this afternoon. Cooler temperatures too, with highs only around 60 degrees. Cloudy tonight, a few sprinkles possible, lows in the upper 40s. Showers developing afternoon on Wednesday with highs again around 60 degrees. Look for occasional rain on Thursday, especially in the morning. Highs Thursday around 70. I'm CBS 19 Chief Meteorologist Travis Koshko for Seville 107.5 and 1260 WCHV.